Hi, Jack. Hi. Hi. Say hi. Say hi. He's like, what? Who are you talking to? Okay, so, hello. I'm really sorry that you haven't heard from me in a while. If you've never watched my videos before, you don't really care. If this is your first one, doesn't really matter. So, what I'm gonna do is, hold on, let me get my phone. So what I want to do with this video is get back into booktube, get back into making videos, get back into reading. I just finished the school year. I'm off for summer vacation. I'm going back to work soon. So I want to get this out, get back in the habit of making videos. And what this is going to be is books that I plan on reading over the summer, which does not include everything. It's just like my first library haul of the summer, and I like to finish all of them or try to read all of them before I return them. So these are subject to change, and I can almost guarantee I'm going to add other books to it. This is mostly going to be a library book haul and books I plan on reading over the summer. Like first library haul, first TBR of the summer. TBR. Okay, let's talk about books that I checked out a long time ago and haven't read yet. That I've renewed like 3 times and haven't picked up yet. Because at the end of the school year, I like completely dropped reading. I go through phases. I got back into art recently and like drawing. And I recently got back into video games, which is a huge time suck. Not to mention just doing homework and preparing for finals. That hit hard. So, the very, very, very furthest back checked out books that I have are Oscar and Lucinda by Peter Carey, because I wanted to save this one for last of my library book haul because I expected to like this one the most, and then read all the other books and totally forgot. Like, not forgot, but got caught up and wasn't able to pick this up. I should have picked this up first before I ran out of time, but that's okay. I'll pick it up. I was able to renew it. And then Overton, which I picked up very slightly. I read for like 1 day, and then that was the last thing I read before I totally just like got sidetracked into other things. So I still have these 2 to read, so I can't really give you a review. If you want to hear why I checked them out and what I had to say about these, the last time I picked them up, that video is on my channel. And then what you didn't see is I had this book on hold. When I checked out the other 2, I had this book on hold. I was waiting for someone to finish reading it, and then I checked it out about a week after, and that is How to Stop Time by Matt Haig. And this one I checked out because I really liked The Humans, his other book, The Humans. And the only thing I really know about this, which can't really count as knowing anything, is that it is about a man who looks 40, but he's been alive for centuries. That's really all I know. And I know he has a child. Does he have a child? I don't know if he has a child. I'm thinking Benjamin Button, but I'm also thinking Matt Haig's writing. And that's why I was interested in this one. Okay, so those are the 3. Those are the only 3 I have left of like the 6 or 7 that I checked out last time. And then I checked out another 6 today. Okay, they're all over the place. There's no theme. I basically had gone through my Goodreads and checked the availability of a lot of books on my want to read list, and then I browsed the shelves for anything that stood out. So we'll go in no particular order. The first book that I checked out is D-Day, The Invasion of Normandy, 1944, by Pulitzer Prize winner Rick Atkinson. I have a cold. And this is like the young reader edition. From the full novel he wrote was The Guns at Last Light. is the full novel. And the reason I chose I very purposely chose the Young Readers edition because it's embarrassing how little I know. So I thought that the Young Readers edition would be easier for me to build a base of understanding. Like, I'm usually intimidated to start books on new topics because I'm afraid that they're not going to be like very accessible or readable, and so I'll end up putting the book down even though I'm really interested. I'm probably going to upload this the same day, but today is the 75th anniversary of D-Day, so I wanted to get a book about D-Day. So there's that one. And then I picked up a book with a familiar title, but I don't think I know anything about it. It is Watership Down by Richard Adams. If you know anything about these books, please let me know in the comments or on Goodreads or whatever. This is a book about rabbits. I believe it's about talking animals. I don't know anything about it other than that. It comes across as very popular. When I looked it up, I came across it because I was looking for Douglas Adams's Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and this was like where Hitchhiker's Guide was supposed to be. And I was like, Watership Down, why does that sound familiar? And it has such a beautiful cover. I really like the reviews that I saw for it on Goodreads. And the talking animals reminds me of Animal Farm. So, and this was weirdly in the science fiction section. So I'm interested to see what this is about. It's supposedly like a children's classic. Yeah. When I go to the library, I like to use it as an opportunity to pick up random books that I might be interested in because it's so non-committal. Why not? So this is one of the books that I just like browsed up and down the shelves and whatever jumped out at me I got. So hopefully I picked this one up and like it. Then I got a book I've been waiting to read for so long. It's always checked out at my library. But this is The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. And from the people I've seen talk about it on YouTube, I believe it is a science fiction that is very low science fiction. And it's about a really good group of friends or crew. So I'm interested in reading about a group of people with a sci-fi theme, with a sci-fi background. It's not really science fact-based sci-fi, I've heard. It's very loosely set in space, and that's what makes it sci-fi. But I'm excited to read about like a group of friends or a band of members of this crew and their adventures in space. And I've heard a lot of buzz about it on YouTube, so finally was able to check this one out. And 3 more. The next one that I checked out is a classic. So maybe you can consider it like the second out of 3 classics that I checked out. That is Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. And I was not interested in this book whatsoever until I heard that it's somewhat of like a scary, not scary story, but it's somewhat of like a thriller. It's very suspenseful, and ghostly kind of, if I can remember right. I haven't read anything or been on BookTube in months, so it's my memory is very hazy. But, and then based on what I read on the back of the book, it's very like ghostly and eerie. And it says it's a classic tale of romantic suspense. So I was not interested in this until someone I saw on BookTube picked it up and was like, this is not the classic I expected it to be. This is actually very suspenseful and almost like a ghost story. So the fact that it's neither here nor there is what intrigues me with this one. And in a lot of my videos, I'm sorry that in a lot of my videos I don't know a lot about the books, or I can't really tell you much about the books that I haul, and I haven't done much research. But the reason for that is I am not going to be able to do any justice for what the book is about if I haven't read it. You know, like anything that I could come up with, you could come up with 10 times better by good reading it or watching people that you like to watch talk about it. My hauls and the books that I talk about on my TBR are more for just like chit-chatty and for people to comment or reach out to me, and if they've read it, if they have anything to say about it. It's not really me trying to convince you to read it. So a lot of the books that I pick up to read, I don't know a lot about, and that's the way I like to go into books. I like to have no expectations or low expectations. If you want to hear me try to convince you to read a book, you should watch my reviews or my wrap-ups, and that's when I'm able to better explain to you what the book is about and why you should read it. Whereas my hauls are mostly just like friend to friend, mano y mano. This is what I plan on reading this summer. And it's not like this is what the back of the book says. It's like, this is what made me want to pick it up, or this is what made me add it to my TBR. So, I feel slightly guilty for not being able to give you like summaries of the books. But if you really want a summary, you can Goodreads it, and it'll do 10 times better than I can. And 10 less breaths. This is more just like, yo, these are the books I picked up. As if I'm like talking to you, as if we're friends, okay? So I have a slight guilt over that, but that's my reason why I don't do that. The last classic that I picked up was East of Eden by John Steinbeck, and I've really wanted to read this for a long time, and I really like this edition. Every single time I've gone to a store to try and buy this, it is so out of my budget. My budget for books is ridiculously low. I'm sorry. I just can't spend a lot of money on books because I am not a book rereader, which is kind of crazy. But I think I've only reread a book. I can count the number of books I've reread on one hand. So I'm not a book rereader. I'm not even a movie rewatcher, to be honest with you. So I haven't been able to ever get myself to buy this. And when I'm at my library, for some reason, I always glance over classics and just the huge fiction section. I usually go to the young adult or the sci-fi fantasy section because they're smaller and they're easy for me to browse without being overwhelmed. This time I browsed the entire fiction section and saw this and was like, oh yeah, I've been wanting to read that. Why don't I check it out? Why am I such an idiot? This one I do know is about two families, like feuding families. And like their intertwined destinies. And it's kind of like, no, I'm sorry, it's not two feuding families. I'm thinking of something else. It's two families and intertwined destinies, and it's similar to a retelling of the beginning of the Old Testament, with Adam and Eve and Cain and Abel. Like, these two families reenact those stories from the Bible, and it's set in the Salinas Valley of California, which, agricultural valley of California. Salinas is not near me, but not far away. So I'm really excited that it's set in like the farmland of California, because my home, So anyways, that's why, in less words, I'm interested in this because it is, for two different reasons. It is set in a very familiar location, like basically where I live. And it is a retelling of, or an interpretation through two like modern families of the fall of Adam and Eve, and then Cain and Abel. Yeah. Poisonous rivalry. So, like, it is feuding families? I have sick brain, guys. I've had sick brain all day. I put my underwear on backwards today. If that tells you anything about how I'm doing. Backwards? No, not backwards. I put them on inside out. That's TMI. Anyways, the last book that I picked up is really cheesy, and sometimes I need a real cheesy book to lighten up what I'm reading. Because my interests are usually very heavy, very intense. And sometimes, even though I don't usually crave fluffy romantic books, I need them for mental health. So I picked up Landline by Rainbow Rowell. The last and only Rainbow Rowell book that I read was Attachments. And 90% of people that read that hate it. They think it's creepy. A guy falls in love with a woman from reading her emails to her friend because he's the monitor of like the work's email server to make sure people aren't abusing it, and he falls in love with her through those without her knowing it. I thought it was so cute. Not cute. I thought it was so interesting. I loved it. I thought it was a great story. A lot of people think it's creepy. That's fine. But I decided to pick up another Rainbow Rowell that is similarly interesting in plot. A woman and a husband and wife, their marriage is in trouble. Like it's not doing very well whatsoever. And the wife finds a telephone from the past, maybe like from when she was a teenager or something like that. It was her telephone. She used to use this telephone regularly, a landline phone. Aren't really a thing anymore, right? So she picks up this phone. I think she plugs it in and calls her husband on it. But this phone is like a time machine. So she calls her husband on it, but she's talking to a husband from the past. And it's just like a reignition of their love and the spark and why they fell in love and why she loved him so much. Yada yada. And yeah, I don't know. That just seems like something I need, right? Whoa. That just seems like something I need in this TBR. Like, I need some mush. I need some reignite the flame, if you will, to break up the DDay and the classics that I have lined up for this summer. So, a summer fling, if you will. Yeah. Those are all the books that I plan on reading this summer. I mean, hopefully this doesn't take me all summer to read, but hey, working full time, who knows? I'm not a good time management person. And those are probably subject to change. And I promise that I will try my best to update you when I read them and do wrap-ups. I promise to try. But yeah, thanks for hanging out with me for a little bit. Hopefully not a very long video. Comment below if you have read any of these. Just give me your 2 cents. I'm poor. I need your 2 cents. Let me know what you thought about them. If you haven't read them, let me know if you want to read them. Any little thing that comes to mind, please comment it below. I will respond. Subscribe. That sounds gross to say. Subscribe if you want to follow any posts that I make in the future. If that's something, for whatever reason, interests you. And like always, in the little section below, I'll put like my Goodreads and my Instagram. If you want to follow like in real time. If you want to see what I'm reading when I don't make YouTube videos. For whatever reason. But anyways, yeah. Thanks, guys. Great talk. Good talk. Happy summer. See you later. Bye.